Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the next episode of the Multifamily Investing Academy podcast with me, your host, Charles Dobbins, the multifamilyattorney.com, and the founder of not only Multifamily Investing Academy, but my newest invention, my newest venture, the Multifamily War Room with my partner, Jillian Sidoti, multifamilywarroom.com. So check us out there. But today I have Ellis Hammond on the phone. Ellis, why don't you say hello to the crowd? Say hello to the crowd.
Hey, Charles. Hello, everybody. Pumped to be here. Love the energy. Love the title of the Multifamily War Room. Masterminding and networking have been the pillar of my success, man.
Yeah.
So good for you guys to keep doing that.
Well, I'll tell you, if you, we also have a game here, Ellis, that if you say the magic phrase, a duck will drop down with $100 bill, and you can win $100 bill if you say the magic phrase. But the thing is that the duck is actually out right now. But I do have the $100 bill right here. So if you say the magic phrase, you will be the winner of $100. Okay, so let's get a guy like you, though. You don't know what I mean when I say the duck drops down if you say the magic phrase. Do you?
I do not.
Oh my gosh. What are you, like 22 or something? You know, Groucho Marx, you bet your life, if you said the magic phrase, the duck would drop down and you win $100. You don't remember that? You never saw that?
I don't, man. Well, we won't talk about decades here, but you're right. No, I'm not familiar, man. You know, if it's not on Netflix, Charles, you know, it's like most people aren't seeing it, man.
Okay, listen, when I go home, they tell me I have a Netflix password. Like they have, I don't even know how to get to it. My kids watch it all the time. And then what I end up doing is going and sitting in the corner watching YouTube videos. I mean, that's where I find my Groucho Marx reruns is on YouTube.
That's it, man.
Yeah. So, but yeah, listen,
you'll have to put in a request. I'm sure there's a population watching Netflix that wants to see these reruns. So
it's gotta be there. It's gotta be there, man. Oh gosh, remember?
Do I get a hint? I'm all about anyway.
No,
I hate losing.
No hints. No hints. Had you prepped yourself and watched any of my podcasts, you probably would have known. So there, huh?
Yeah, you're right. That one's on me then.
Yep. Gotcha. Caught you. Huh? Yeah. You don't know what you're in for now, do you?
Because I am on my toes. I'm ready to go, man.
Well, I'll tell you. You're about to be interviewed by the Don Rickles of Multifamily right now. And do you know who Don Rickles is?
I do not know Don.
Okay.
Hey, Charles, I'm about to start throwing out some names, man. You know what I'm saying?
No. I concede right now. I totally concede. I watch the Emmys and the Grammys. I have no idea who those people are. I mean, aren't they teaching chords nowadays? I mean, they don't even teach chords. These people don't even need to have chords to win a Grammy nowadays. Back in my day, you'd need to know all the chords. And so, but okay, Mr. Wise.
Hey, how about this one? Am I right? Am I right in this? He has something, I think, Don Rickles and the Potato Head have something in common.
Geez. You see, that is it. See, that's what I was just about to say, because guys your age only know him as Mr. Potato Head. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, no, that's not the winning phrase if that's what you're looking for, pal.
Come on. Where's the duck at?
Where's the duck at? I want that duck. Give me that duck. Oh no, you're gonna have to work a little bit harder for the $100.
Oh mercy!
For the hardest you've ever had to work. Okay, so let's get talking here about multifamily, my favorite topic in the world. Okay, so you got started. Obviously, you're a college pastor. You're full time at the time, which is obviously, how they start off you guys in the pastoral business with college kids. And so, are you still doing that? Are you still in the ministry?
Not full time, not vocationally. I have officially kind of transitioned into the world of multifamily entrepreneurship. Took us about a year to kind of make that transition, but we're all in, man. In a lot of ways, like I call this my new ministry. Like we really do have a ministry in the world of commercial real estate with our own mastermind and network and, what we're doing with our properties. So no, not vocationally, but I call this my new calling, man.
Yeah, no, I noticed that, and that's what we're going to talk about is your mastermind with the kingdom focus. Okay, so you started in San Diego. So where'd you go to school?
I went to school actually in South Carolina, a small D1 football school called Presbyterian College, where I tried to play quarterback for a couple of years until I broke my ankle, and that was the end of that story.
Oh, wow. So are you from South Carolina?
Yeah, grew up in
We're in South Carolina because that's my next home. We're in South Carolina.
Well, Charleston is.
Oh, that's my next home.
Base.
Wow.
Beautiful place, man. I'd highly, if you're not living in San Diego, Charleston's
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute. So Charleston and San Diego, you didn't have any tie-in with the Navy, did you?
No.
Okay. All right, just gotta ask. So, man, you are really, you obviously lived a very sheltered life, a very comforted life. You've had to trudge between Charleston and San Diego. You poor boy, poor boy.
I remember praying to God in college. Hey, God, I'll go anywhere, just as long as there's water. No conditions, God, but just make sure there's water there, right? And then
guess what? Antarctica has water too, and you didn't end up there. So God was really looking out for you.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's like my father. He was in the Air Force, a Russian linguist in the Air Force during the Korean War, and he got the highest grades in the class. They sent him to Alaska, and I said, Dad, where'd they send the other guys? Oh, like Germany and Japan and all these like great spots. I said, why didn't you get to go there? I said, I don't know. They must not have liked me. He must not have prayed as hard as you did. You got your water, and you got your beautiful town. So you ended up buying a place in San Diego, a duplex. And was that with your wife at the time? And okay, so you did that, and obviously, did you really look at it as the first foray into investing, or was that just a place to live that you could afford?
No, it was definitely our first thing into investing. We were full time. I was a missionary and pastor, and really was hungry to figure out ways to build wealth. And honestly, Charles had no idea, man. Like, my father passed away when I was 21. He was a business owner, but again, I wasn't super interested in that early on. So there was really no, I went to school, but you don't really learn a lot about financial education and building wealth.
No kidding.
So, but dude, we were really hungry to kind of change our situation, and our nonprofit was growing, and we were fundraising at that point. So we were raising all the money we needed to live, and just didn't want to do that forever. And, being kind of an entrepreneur at heart, I just was like, I want to figure out ways to do this. And so, yeah, real estate, that was our first one. We went to a seminar that was like on fix and flipping, and thankfully I didn't pick up that route because I'm a terrible handyman. But it was kind of like the revelation of like, oh my gosh, you actually don't need to be a millionaire already in order to start investing in real estate. And so that kind of planted the seed for us of, wow, maybe real estate could be the vehicle that we could start to build wealth in. And yeah, man, we found a mentor, kind of just telling everyone in the city what we wanted to do. When we found someone who was just generous to kind of help us in literally every step of the way. And funny story, I thought we were just going to buy it kind of as an outright investment. And I remember laying in bed one night and telling my wife, hey, honey, I think it would be better if we moved into this place. We were 8 months married at the time. This place was a dump when we bought it. I can just tell you that conversation did not go over well. And but she warmed up. We moved into
was a Proverbs wife? Is that what?
Yeah,
she was?
She's a great supportive woman. Yes. She's just I've learned that my crazy ideas need a little more context most of the time.
A little softening.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask you. So you get this thing, you move in, and it's a rehab project.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So how long did that take you?
Well, with duplex, so the first one took us about 60 days.
Oh, okay. But wait a minute. Didn't you just say a moment ago you're not a handyman guy? So
yeah, well, we had a lot of help, and we hired what we didn't know how to do. And I was working for a college ministry at the time, so I got all of my fraternity buddies that were part of my Bible study to come in and do all the demo for me. And I bought them pizza. So that was how we literally got it started.
Hey, so how much money did it cost you to rehab that? Oh, that was about 17 pizzas. Some of them even had pepperoni on them. Yeah. I splurged on those days. Yeah.
Absolutely. Really, man. I
Wow.
mean, that's what we were doing. Like, we did have a family investor because we didn't have any money, man. We had a family investor help us with the down payment, and then we had the sweat, and that's really how we got that job done.
Let me
And
just tell you, we're going to get to the Memphis project in just a moment. And I want to know how many pizzas that one cost you
yeah.
too. Okay. Because that's going to be a big one. That's going to be a big number. So, okay. So you build it up, you get it running just right. You're still living there.
Yep.
So what's the next step there?
Well, we created in that deal in 11 months. We got that thing reappraised in 11 months. We had created $150,000.
Boy.
We had put in about 40 grand into that. So that was sweet, man. Like, I just was like, oh my gosh, my mind was blown again. Cause here's a guy who, I just didn't even like money because I understand I like it. I just didn't see the power in it. I didn't understand that capital equals influence. I didn't understand that money flows to value. And all of a sudden, like, in one project, it was like, oh my gosh, now we have the opportunity to steward more capital. Now I understand when we create value, we can also create money. I just, like, all these things started clicking for me, and, like, honestly, my life was changed and really probably started turning the ball for me to transition out of full-time vocational ministry and into the world of entrepreneurship.
Really? Okay. Okay, cool. So did you sell that property? Do you still have it?
Funny enough, man, we're taking it to market in probably just a couple of weeks. We're doing up some final touches. The San Diego prices, man, I mean,
just crazy.
There's probably the lowest in history inventory in San Diego right now. And just the right time, for us to get out of it and use that capital for our business and our other larger projects. So we're actually 3 years later going to sell that property.
Okay. Where do you live now?
Funny enough, man, we've moved away. We've done so much with this duplex. That's why, like, it's such a special project. We actually live in the other unit.
Okay.
Today. And so we've Airbnb'd it. We've long-term leased it. We've done all kind of stuff. And then most recently we moved into it, and now we're selling it. And don't ask me what we're about to do, because I actually haven't thought that far.
I was wondering, are you thinking about going back to South Carolina? I mean, your project, the project that we're going to talk about next is in Tennessee. I mean,
I'll tell you what I actually really want to do, man. And so if someone's listening, please hit me up. We want to buy a retreat center with land where we can host 50-person plus events. We're looking for 50 plus acres anywhere in the country, not California. So that actually would be a dream to own a place like that, where we could host workshops around real estate, around investing, around entrepreneurship, that, we could live, but also kind of have like this ongoing mastermind experience. So if anybody has an into a retreat center, hit me up.
Wow, that's cool. Geez, because I had, I'll tell you, this might be the time to be buying something like that, because I had a client that had to step out of my program because it was like, I can't afford to work with you right now because of COVID. Yeah. And this guy owned a summer camp for kids, and I just wiped out overnight, wiped out his whole business.
Well, here's the thing, man. I think you're right. And not that I wish this on anyone, but the reason those things you're not seeing them just go for sale is because of the stimulus money. That really is the only thing that's keeping these things alive. So there might be great opportunity, I mean, as an investor, like, unfortunately, someone's pain is an opportunity for us, but we'll see. I mean, I don't wish that, but I sure would like to have a great place that we can.
No, but the problem with the PPP money for that type of business is, like I was able to keep my business going, and I got PPP money, and I'm going to be able to be forgiven paying it back. But a guy like that's not going to be, because he couldn't get his business back up and running. Right. I could keep my business going and keep everybody employed, but he couldn't do that because he had no customers. Right. The customers weren't coming. Right. So that's hey, maybe he has to sell just to pay off the note, if he did it that way. So very interesting. Okay. So now you got the taste. You got it in your mouth. And
love's in the water. It's like a shark, man. Like love is in the water.
I know what you're talking about. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So somebody came along. You got into a GP scenario on a deal. Why don't you give us the background of that? First off, like, what did you do? Did you move into some guru's program? Did you start meeting other people? Like, how'd you hook up with this GP?
Again, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone. My best friends were 19 years old and still in college at the time. But I was hungry to change our scenario. I knew we couldn't keep doing duplexes because it just crushed me as far as the time and what we did. And so I got introduced to the world of syndication, and someone was kind of working on their first education program and invited me just to be part so I could learn. And so I did that for a while, and it was like, wow, okay, I didn't realize you could actually – I mean, again, we had brought a family investor for our duplex, but I never really even thought that, well, you could do this at scale. Like I could actually put together a network of investors to help me buy larger real estate. So that's where I learned about the world of syndication. And so honestly, I just started listening to podcast shows, and this is what I would do. Every podcast show I would listen to, if the host or the guest gave their contact information, I'd call them. Hey, man, awesome show. Like, here's what I'm trying to do. Here's my background. I've been raising money for this nonprofit. I just did our first duplex. We're looking to get in the world of syndication. Here's what I think we can bring. Tell me about yourself. I did that to probably 50 people over the course.
Can I just tell you, everyone listening here, at the end of this call, we're going to give out Ellis's cell phone number, and I want you to all direct dial him right away as soon as you hear this podcast.
I'll take it. Absolutely. Because I'm telling you that those conversations and the people I met, their generosity and the generosity I've experienced in this industry has been life-changing, not just for me, but for so many people that now we get to impact.
Isn't that the coolest thing about this business? I mean, I came from the insurance field, which is backstabbing, cutthroat, conniving. Oh, I hated it. Yeah. And then to come to this business where everybody just helps everybody else out. And the reason is because, hey, you know what? Maybe you and I are going to partner on this deal. Yeah. Hey, next deal, maybe I'm going to sell it to you. Deal after that, maybe I'm going to buy something from you. You never know where how the structure is going to be set up.
100%. And it's also really interesting, man. It's a small industry too.
Yeah.
So if you get that reputation that I was just sitting with a guy and he's like, I just met him, and he was like, just interested in syndications. And he's like, yeah, I'm looking at this deal right now. I'm like, well, tell me what it is. He's like, well, it's in Winston-Salem. He was telling me it's in North Carolina. I'm like, no kidding. I'm like, well, I bet I know who the sponsor is. And because I had just looked at the deal as well, and I had chatted with him. And so, I say all that to say it is a small industry in the sense of what we're doing. And so, I think it behooves everyone involved to let's help each other out. Let's grow.
Exactly. That's the whole point is we're all trying to get each other across the finish line. Yeah. And, by helping somebody else, it's not a zero-sum game. You're not going to lose something by helping somebody else in this business. You're just going to benefit yourself. It's awesome. It's right. I love this. I love the multifamily space. I love everything about the multifamily business. I think it's
anything too, because it is an alternative investment. Yes, people who are listening to your show think multifamily is probably a no-brainer to invest in, but that's actually not the case for a lot of folks. Most people don't. When I say, hey, we have this, we're doing a large multifamily syndication, they're like, a what? It's still well, can you get that from my financial advisor? You know what I mean? So the more people who are talking about it and helping people see this is a viable investing option for you and your family, the better, because it just makes my job easier in raising capital. And so
let me ask you the question, because that's something I wrote down this note. You said that you're a terrible handyman, but my question is, are you a good numbers guy? So, you went into your first deal really needing to wield a tool belt, which I don't wield one either, Ellis, just so you know. But the thing is that, your father was a businessman. You came into this, and of course, with multifamily, it's not about the real estate. It's about the numbers, and the numbers have to work. So were you a good numbers guy? Where'd you learn that aspect?
Yeah, the duplex was somewhat simple. I understood it from an overall, hey, we're buying into this. Here's what we're renting it for. This is what our mortgage is going to be. We need to be able to at least cover this, and we think that we can get it to this, right? It was at around 500. We got it to around 700, and so I knew
that's such a small business. When you're looking at 144, you're running a business. You have staff. You have employees. It's a different approach. You go from fix and flip investor to business owner.
100%.
Yeah. So how was that for you?
So this is what I've learned as an entrepreneur. if you really want to excel and excel quickly, can't do it all. And what you can't do, you need to work with the best. And so, no, to answer your question, I'm not actually a great numbers guy, or I'm probably better than I think I am. It's not a part that I really love. I understand at a high level, we go over it, but now I have a team and I have 2 underwriters, and I tell them this: once you can translate numbers to sentences, then I want to talk about the deal, right? And so that's kind of where I come in, where we can, and then we look at it, of course, and we'll go over the sheets and we'll look at, and so we understand it. But to answer the question, no, because and how we got into our first deal was, Charles, I just found one of the most experienced operators in the country who at that time I was able to leverage his skills and experience and what he had in the market. And he was able to leverage different things that I had, right? I had a network. I had marketing skills. There were things that I could do that he was in a position, a lot of things happening in his business where he needed a guy like me to really come in, bring energy, bring fuel, bring capital. And that's why we were able to partner. And that is, I don't really still have that model, but that is like the cornerstone of everything I've done up to this point, is like stay focused on what I'm really good at, which honestly, I'm an evangelist at heart. I'm a messenger. I'm a storyteller. I love people. I'm a networker. So I'm really good at capital raising.
Yeah.
And then I find the other people who are good at everything else, finding the deals, underwriting, analysis, all the things that really include some type of traction. Pretty much have partners that really take care of that kind of stuff.
All right, let me tell you, just for the record, everybody, Ellis is not one of my students. He's not one of my clients, but he said something just now that I teach all the time, and it's all about my multifamily financial accounting, and that is the numbers tell the narrative. And what he said is the numbers, when you can put the numbers into a sentence, then you understand it. That's really the beautiful thing about multifamily accounting. This is what I teach my students. If you can't balance your checkbook, or you look at a P&L and your eyes glaze over, you're looking at it the wrong way. You have to be able to look at those numbers so that they tell a story. I said, I can look at a trailing 12 financial statement and tell you exactly what a day in the life of that little old lady who's been the property manager for the last 20 years is like, whether she's doing her job and she's going to keep her job the day after I buy the property, or whether I'm going to have to let her go, just by looking at the numbers. And that's how it works. Once you understand the categories that the numbers go in and how they tell the story, it just makes total sense. It makes total sense.
Yeah, and that comes from sitting down with experienced operators like you and folks who have underwritten hundreds or thousands of projects, and being able to say, well, okay, the occupancy, 18 months ago was pretty high, and now it's kind of come down closer to when they're trying to sell. We both know that tells a narrative, right? That, hey, we should probably take a closer look at these leases because this person is probably pumping this property up, right? So that's a narrative about this property that, again, comes from sitting down with guys like yourself who understand this and understand how this business works, and the motivation for someone trying to, lower their occupancy right before they sell.
Yeah, and like another thing, or increase the occupancy.
Yes.
But the other thing too, like, hey, geez, this is really strange. It's a 1970s construction, and they've only got $200 per unit per year on their repairs and maintenance. Right. That doesn't seem. But look, they had a big capex number. Oh, wait a minute. Now I know what's going on. They're burying everything in the capex below the line, driving up their NOI. And I'm going to be paying, my kids are going to be paying for this property long after I'm gone because I was an idiot and I overpaid for the property. So unlike what Grant Cardone says, you can always overpay for a property, right? Right? Yeah, no, not at all. Don't even get me going there. So, okay. So tell me about this property in Memphis. How did you find it? How you put it together? How much money do you need? How's it going?
$9.5 million deal, 144 units. We raised just right around $5 million in capital for that project.
So wait a minute, hold on a second. $9 million deal, 144 units. This is kind of a nice property, right?
Yeah, it was B type asset. It was really solid. Continues to be solid. We've been above 96% occupancy the entire time that we've owned it. We just did a refinance. We actually assumed a loan on this product, which was the selling point, and also probably been the curse of this deal all at the same time.
Okay. Let me stress again. Ellis is not my student, but here we go. He lived through one of the banes of my existence, which are assumptions. So I can't wait to hear what he's going to say about what happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like the loan was a like
a Fannie or Freddie.
No, not Fannie or Freddie. Why is it slipping my mind right now?
Like an FHA or a USDA or?
Yes, exactly. So we had it was a 30-year term on this deal that we were able to assume.
An FHA, 30-year term.
So, and it was 3.25% interest. So we're like, oh man, we have a great thing. This thing is going to guard against inflation. Like, I mean, and again, when you assume a loan like that, you're thinking this is going to be great. And so from a cash flow perspective, the problem was there were so many stipulations on when we could contribute, the type of accounting we had to do and whatnot that we weren't aware of, unfortunately, and didn't have probably the right PM there to help deal with some of those things that we ended up doing a refinance, and it's worked well. I mean, we've been able to return some investor capital, but what we thought was maybe a big selling point actually was like, well, sorry guys, this has not been as good as we thought. We've gotten new financing on the deal to give us more control on when we're able to return capital. So that was an interesting piece of the deal for sure.
Let me tell you something. I just put my my top client on hold, or we'll call him a bit. The very first deal he ever did with me, he had 0 units. It was a 36-unit deal. It was a HAP deal. It was a government, housing assistance program, and he told his investors, I'm going to give you 8% cash on cash return. Everything's fine. He gives 8% the first year. The government steps in and says, you're not doing that anymore.
Yep.
And they can. And he did not know. I mean, ultimately, like in your situation, when he finally sold the property, they did very, very well. And his investors are still investing with him. But whenever you're in bed with the government, they are the worst partners 100%. In the world. I'm actually surprised that I mean, how tough was it refinancing out of that?
Took a while. I mean, we actually just accomplished it this year. I mean, we bought that. I mean, so it definitely took a while. We got that done in COVID. We kind of stayed, I think we stayed in there too long, but you're in partners and you're trying to figure out the best move. And so it's, we did what we did. It's not looking back now, but I mean, again, it looks attractive, but exactly what you just said, man, when you're dealing with the government and as slow as they move, what do you do? And so, again, those are one of those things. Like I have a list of 100 when I was, as a passive investor, I have a checklist of 111 questions. And I always joke now I got 112 because I'm like, okay, does this have a government, regulated loan on this that we need to look into or know about?
Oh man,
and that's part of experience, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
that's so cool. Good for you. Well, hey, looks like you did all right with it. And you, were there any other restrictions on the property as far as like income or, income assist, rental assist?
No, this was a pretty standard.
Just straight up market rate property with just FHA financing.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't FHA. I don't know why. I haven't talked about this deal.
No, it was when you say 30-year AM, or even a 35-year term, that clues me in. If it's not Fannie or Freddie, it's got to be one of the other agencies. And I think FHA. That's one that pops into my mind when I think.
It's gonna come to my. I'm just gonna pop in my mind. I think I've been so scarred by it, Charles, that I think I pushed it out of my mind.
You never do it again.
But no, I mean, for anyone listening, again, those products can be good for. I mean, maybe right now would be no worth because they're such great. If you can get financing right now, interest rates are so low, but it's something for sure to look into. And
we had it on one of our properties. It was an RD property, and just like you were saying about how slow the government is, we told them HUD. That was my next FHA or HUD, but yeah. But the thing is that they came to us and said, okay, you're approved, but we don't have the money. And it could be 2 years before you get it for you, but you have to wait 2 years to get those terms that we told you we're going to give you. And I mean, they were like, it's the Congress. We can't, if the Congress doesn't fund it, we can't give it to you.
Right.
And so we just had to sit there. And 2 months later, we get a phone call. They said, we're gonna close in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Like, what happened in 2 years? Like, well, we got the money. We're gonna get rid of like, yeah. So that's the way it works. It's crazy. Yeah. There's no way to do business.
No.
The government's tough. So okay. So you got this property and it's running well, and it's geez, I wonder how they did the HUD loan in the first place. HUD loan must have been like almost a construction loan, or
we assumed it.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Those guys before you.
Yeah.
Why do they use a HUD loan? That's what I'm wondering. So
I don't know.
I wonder if there was something funky going on there. But anyway, all right. So what's next for you, Ellis?
Well, so we just actually released my first book. It's called The Mission of Multifamily. And it's a lot of it is my journey, from being a full-time missionary to now being a full-time multifamily real estate investor. So we are in the works of two things. We have our own group here in San Diego where we're, soup to nuts and really looking at some smaller deals. I'd say smaller, still 100 to 200 units.
Listen to you. Listen, you're so huge in the industry now, Ellis. Yeah, I'm looking at some smaller deals. You're not.
Well, here's the reason I say that is because we're in the works of launching our first fund. Actually,
okay, good for you.
That will be acquiring and targeting. We're working with another set of operators, and the goal here is, and this is why I love multifamily, is that I want to invest in properties that we can not just produce strong yield, but strong spiritual influence. And so there's an incredible organization that we're seeking to partner with called Apartment Life. And there's a nonprofit. They've been in business for a really long time. They work with apartment owners. And what they'll do, Charles, is they'll actually place a missionary family or a family from like a local congregation or whatever into this apartment complex. The apartment owner, which would be us or the operators, actually provides a unit and a budget for this family to really provide community care, resident care, community programs, spiritual care for the residents in our communities. And so, I have an investor base that matters to them. This is their investing dollars. They're trying to make money and build wealth, of course. But I always say, give your investing dollars more than one role. They can not just make money, but they can also make an impact. So, we're about to launch the first Mission of Multifamily Fund 1 to really help sponsor and get to the finish line deals like that we can really do both.
I love that, Sam. Give your investment dollars more than one role. Make money and make an impact. That's cool. That's very cool. Good for you. Yeah, so, all right. So how big is the fund going to be?
It'll be small to begin. Hopefully this is, I'm not trying to be humble though.
I caught you, didn't I? I caught you.
We'll start with 5 million.
Okay. Yeah. That is really small. And I spoke to these two guys, actually one of the partners, they're doing fix and flips in LA, and they started with a 5 million, then they went to a $50 million fund. Now they're in the third fund and it's a $100 million fund. And it's because, some of those family offices, they need it to be bigger. They need to be able to put more money into it and not be the only show in town on that deal. And if, a $5 million fund,
Well, fund too, you can start it, like, for example, one of my mentors, Ryan Smith, he's in Fund 8. They always start with a 50 million tranche, but then they go up to 100 and then they go up to 150 almost every time. So you can, we'll be able to play with it a little bit, but there's a couple of deals that we're trying to get to the finish line right away. So we'll kind of have a smaller target so we can bring some investor capital in and get that placed.
That's
pretty
cool.
quickly.
Good for you, man. That's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome. All right. So tell me about the your mentor,
the mastermind.
Your mastermind.
Listen, man, this came out about, so we started, so I just transitioned out of the ministry role back in January of this year. Even though we were still doing a lot of this beforehand, full time was this year. For me though, as a Christian and being in this space, I wanted to build this business and I had a lot of great mentors, but the shared faith component along with this ambition was something really hard to find. And if anyone's kind of a faith-based investor, faith-based entrepreneur, I'm sure they can resonate that typically the only dude in your church who's really business savvy is typically in his 80s. You know what I mean? Like the guy who wants to, it's like to find someone who is, still growing, still hungry, ambitious, but like really their faith is so important is actually pretty difficult to find, Charles. And so I was just like, I really want to build a community around this, around being ambitious and being a Christian, that where faith is really a central part of our business. And so honestly, I just reached out to the first 8 people that I knew and said, hey, would you like to be a part of this? Would you pay me to start this community where I brought in a board of advisors and I started to build this community? I just need you to support me in this. And we had 8 guys say yes. And that was the start of our mastermind, honestly. And now we're at 25 members. We have $2 billion of assets being managed over the nation, and a really cool community that faith is the cornerstone of what we do. And where there's JV partnerships happening, people are, partnering together on deals at this point in time. We've fought through COVID, and we're about to do our first in-person in San Diego in 2 weeks. And so it's been really great, man.
That's so cool. How can people find out about it?
It's thekingdomrei.com. So just go to thekingdomrei.com. That's our website.
Now, is that also your podcast?
It is also our podcast as well.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Awesome. Yep. Awesome. Ellis, man, bravo. Bravo. You're a good kid. You don't know much, but you're a good kid. Look at that. Look at that. Come on,
the potato head? At least I got that one, man. Give me a break here.
And for those of you not watching this thing, the guy's got the most beautiful smile you could ever imagine. I mean, his parents probably spent a fortune on orthodontia. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So, man, Ellis, it's so good talking with you. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on. Before we go, if somebody wants to call you and talk to you after this, and let me tell you something, Ellis, you're going to get calls. You're going to get calls, so be prepared.
Well, I hope they do. Well, here's 2 things. I'd love to give everyone a free book, missionofmultifamily.com. Cool. That's where they can go and grab that, and you'll get an email from me, and love to hear back from you. So that's missionofmultifamily.com. And then call me, please, 619-797-6213. Would love to.
6213
619-797-6213. Text me first, because I'm a millennial. If it's a random number, I'm hesitant.
Listen to him now.
Hey, this is who I am. You got a much more likely chance. Here.
Let me tell you. Okay, he's trying to blame it on. I'm a millennial. We don't do these things. So listen, pal. I do the same thing. All right. I prefer texts. I very rarely answer my phone, but I like text.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the only way to go. So, Ellis, you're awesome. You're the best. It's so much fun. I wish you all the best, and let's keep talking.
Would love to, brother.
All right. Thanks, man.